All right, everybody, welcome back to the Pacific War Channel, where we cover the entire Pacific War from 1937 all the way up to 1945. And I'm joined here today by my guest, it's Dave Holland from Walking the Battlefield, Guadalcanal. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Craig. Thanks again for having me on. So it's a pleasure and honor, and I'm doing well today in freezing Australia, which a lot of people don't realize, and we were discussing beforehand in Canberra.
Yeah.
Seasons are reversed, so it's freezing in August.
Topsy-turvy. Canadian over here is in the biggest heat wave we've seen in a long time, and you're freezing over there in Australia.
Crazy world.
And I think this is pretty much one of the most interesting episodes that'll be done in the Pacific War. I don't think I've seen anybody on YouTube cover all the Medal of Honors, especially for Guadalcanal.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot of research involving the Medal of Honors on Guadalcanal for a long time, and I'm just waiting to put some product out. It took me, as you know, I think we previously discussed, I lived in Guadalcanal for 2 years straight, and then total for 3 years on small trips then and there. And one of my goals was to locate every land Medal of Honor site. It's a bit difficult locating the sea and air ones. There was a number of Medal of Honors earned on Guadalcanal. Though officially there's 22. Yeah. And during my course of travels and walking and a lot of research, lots of research, I've located every one of the land Medal of Honor sites. So I thought I would love to share this experience and information that I gathered. Who's next?
This guy, I don't know, honest. Casamento. I don't know this guy too well.
Yep, that's why. Casamento. Now, Casamento, Anthony Casamento, he's a corporal in the 1st Battalion, 5th Marines. That was my old unit, too. Not back then, but later in years. So, Casamento earned his medal 1980 or 81. I'll double check. It says it on the thing. Okay. So he earned it post-war. That's probably don't know a lot about him. And he was a corporal. And at the time, your Medal of Honor recommendation had to be recommended by an officer. So his action, there was no one left around. They're all dead and wounded. And years later, there were a few of the wounded came back who were apparently dead. And another officer who came through there later says, yeah, I've seen the aftermath. But then they did the two main witnesses, who were 2 enlisted Marines, said, I was there when it was happening. This man's amazing. You know? And it was a big, long campaign to get him the medal after all these years. And it finally took those 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses. So I've done a lot of research on him. I've got all the witness statements. His was one of those positions that's been lost to history. No one really knew about him much, and they didn't know where it occurred. They just saw it happen somewhere in here. It's one of those fights that it kind of gets left off from the Guadalcanal Campaign. You know, there's those out there who think Guadalcanal Campaign was all Marines. You know, it was Alligator Creek, Bloody Ridge, few battle Matanikau, and it ended. There's a lot of fights after that. You know, the main fighting in Guadalcanal Campaign occurred around the Matanikau River in the Point Cruz area. That was the site of the longest sustained and most intense fighting of the campaign. Yes, you had Bloody Ridge, but that was only 2 days, 3 days, and you had Coffin Corner, which is a lot, you know, probably that was the site of the largest Japanese attack, but it only happened in over 2 days. But these other places have months and months of intense combat, especially the Point Cruz line. I mean, the Marines and the Army held that in the line against the Japanese from November to January. That's around Point Cruz. And that's basically the same area where the Monroe Medal of Honor occurred, and this is where these tourist hotels are. So Casamento, on the 1st of November, Vandergrift said, look, we want to wipe these Japanese out away from the Matanikau. You know, they've just got severely defeated on their last October 27th offensive. So it's time to do a counterattack. This might be our opportunity to push them back. So on the 1st of November, they put 3 engineer bridges across the Matanikau, and they were going to do an advance of about 2,000 yards with the 5th Marine Regiment, supported by some of the 2nd Marines Regiment that brought over to Tulagi, some fresh troops. Then they were going to push all the way to Cucamonga. Cucamonga from Matanikau is probably about 5-6 miles. They're going to push all the way to the Cucamonga, really push the Japanese away from Matanikau. That was their plan. So started out, and they hit that line. You'll see the 1st Battalion, 5th Marines. They advanced over Hill 78, that area, which is now where the Central Market is, and the Parliament House. They made it to their first objective line. And the Japanese had a natural choke point there on those ravines. And well camouflaged bunkers. Well, the Marines and Army, the U.S. like to build their defenses up high. The Japanese like to build their defenses down low. They love reverse slope positions, especially in those ravines. And then they used to put the bunker straight in the bottom of the ravine in like an enfilading fire. So pretty smart way they did it. So they ran into the 1st Battalion, 5th Marines, which Casamento was part of. Casamento was moving up on the ridge at Hill 78 with machine guns. Right? They were supposed to set up a base of fire. So he set his base of fire up. One of the platoon C company was moving through, and they basically got ambushed. They said they walked straight up on the Japanese bunkers, and they got hit pretty hard, and they lost a lot of guys very quick. So, and also Casamento, they were on a point there, and they started getting hit very hard with mortar and machine gun fire. So he was losing guys left and right in his machine gun squad. But what he was able to do, he was involved. He laid down a lot of suppressive fire. Some of the Japanese was trying to infiltrate the flank, and he killed those Japanese trying to flank. And he laid enough suppressive fire down that they were able to evacuate a lot of the wounded, and to hold them off. He was wounded multiple times, Casamento, still managed machine gun. Everybody in his squad was killed and wounded. The Marines were able to move back. In fact, unfortunately, there's still 23 Marines from that battalion still missing to this day, and they had to give them battlefield burials, and they're still missing to this day. Probably never be found because it's all modernized now, built over. So we looked for them. We were there. We're still looking for them. But anyway, B companies come up to relieve C. He was in C company, so B company's moving through. They were in company reserve, and their officer, so they walked up. He said, and they were just all the Marines were dead and wounded, just covered with blood. And he could see one moving, covered head to toe with blood, and it was Casamento. And he thought he was dead. And I think Casamento was basically saying, "I'm not a Japanese. Don't kill me. Don't shoot me." And he said, "Oh, we're not, you know." And they were in to evacuate him. They thought he was going to die, but he ended up living. And then he was nominated for a couple of medals, but at the time there was talk about the Medal of Honor and the Navy Cross. I don't have to go back and do my research. I don't think he actually received a Navy Cross. I think he received a lesser medal, Valor Medal. It was kind of just okay, and he didn't really push it. You know, he was suffering from war wounds, and I think later in life he started mentioning it to people, and people took up the call. And they said, "This isn't right. You done, you know, we have witnesses now. It said you did something right. You deserve this." Mm-hmm. So he was awarded the Medal of Honor by President Carter. I know it was by Carter. I'm pretty sure it's 1980. And then he died a number of years after that. But I've located his position from the unit diaries and the message logs and the witness statements, and and then you walk the ground and look and see it hadn't changed, and you go, well, this is where you'd put a machine gun, and it just makes sense of where it exactly was. So I can't say the exact spot. I can probably put it within, I don't know, 5 meters, 5 or 10 meters at the most, in between him and another machine gun. So yeah, that was the 1st of November. And that led up the Marines actually in the Army at that stage pushed 164th. They pushed on quite a bit, and then they had to withdraw because the Battle of Coley Point, which on the east, they thought the Japanese were landing a fresh unit. And that was some of the Japanese that was from left over the 230th Regiment of Soji. They were there.
Gone right by, and and they had radio equipment, and they got massive.
And then the second, and they escaped a bit, and they did the fight back, and that's when they put the 2nd Raider Battalion after them. the long patrol.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, so that's Casamento, Anthony Casamento, and brings you up a good point. All the Marine enlisted, or in fact, all the enlisted Medal of Honors earned on land were earned by machine gunners.
yeah.
Just shows the defensive nature of the fight. So we're about to go. The next one, we're bringing in the next one's going to talk about the U.S. Army, and there were two of those guys were machine gunners. So you had Page, Battalion, Casamento, and the next two Army gentlemen we're going to speak about the land ones.
I actually was wondering, because the way that this will probably come out, this will be a one piece for my podcast immediately, but I'm gonna try and do like you said, everything that you've given me, make the visuals and cut it up in the episodes. But if you could just tell my audience, just a bit about your channel and why they should check you out.
Oh yeah, I have have a YouTube channel called Guadalcanal Walking the Battlefield. Initially, I started up where I'll basically walk these sites, and I had my 2-year deployment there. I wanted to research and drill down on all the stuff I read about Guadalcanal. One, I wanted to check the facts, and plus I wanted to get on areas which is kind of off the grid that most people don't go to, especially if you do the tours there, the week-long tours. They'll go to the main points. And I've made it for them, and also mainly I made it for the people who never get a chance to go to Guadalcanal, so they can experience something, and also to capture what Guadalcanal looks like when I was filming from 2018 to 2020. Due to COVID and a few other things, I no longer, and due to work, I'm not at Guadalcanal. I'm hoping to go back maybe later this year and definitely next year, and do some more on the ground filming. Now, in the meantime, I've started interviewing other people about Guadalcanal. I mean, next week I'm doing for the anniversary, the Battle of Savo Island, which is a naval aspect, because I cover mainly the land, and the 3-dimensional Guadalcanal campaign is unreal with the air, land, and sea.
Yeah.
I've got a guest, Jeff Ballard. He's appearing to talk about the naval aspects and on the anniversary of the Battle of Savo Island, which is the worst defeat in U.S. naval history.
Yeah, it was.
We'll be discussing that. Oh yeah, and then I also do, a number of other videos. I've done, the Getchy Patrol. I've done Chesty Puller being wounded. I've got one upcoming, the U.S. Army role on Guadalcanal. I've got the 164. So I'm focusing. Excuse me. I'm focusing on until I can get back on the ground filming. I'm focusing. So, but my videos I cover. It's like I'm giving you a tour when I'm walking there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like me and you. I'm giving you a one-on-one tour. My videos don't have a lot of whistles and bells, so to speak, to it. I call it pure history. One of my viewers said this is pure history with no frills. I'm like, yeah, okay. Because when I filmed it on an iPhone 7.
Yeah.
I edited it on an iPhone 7, and I uploaded it on Solomon Island internet. So it was just, it's a miracle even it got put up.
Hey, it's fresh from the source.
Oh yeah. I have an adjoining Facebook site. It's called same thing, Guadalcanal Walking a Battlefield on Facebook, and I update that every 2 or 3 days. And I try to include things in there that's never been seen before.
You
in relation
have.
to Guadalcanal. Yes, fresh material.
You've found new material about Guadalcanal. In all honesty, if people were to ask who are some of the experts on the actions of Guadalcanal, I think you could be argued to be one of them now.
Yeah, I'm one of the supreme geeks, I guess you could say. There's a club of nerds, Guadalcanal nerds. There's a few of us, so yeah, we bounce stuff amongst ourselves. Peter Flavin's in Australia too. He's like one of the best then and now photo guys. I don't know how many trips he's made. Yeah, but yeah, that's my 2 channels. Yeah, and hopefully I'll get some fresh tour stuff there.
It's been a real honor to talk to you again. I stress to my audience, please go check out his stuff. You will not find anything like your channel. Your channel is extremely original. It's one of the most interesting channels when it comes to this kind of history on the Pacific War. I can't think of anybody else who's doing anything like you. And what can I say? I hope everyone checks you out.